Prophecy believers fear that the tribulation, the Antichrist's 7-year reign on earth, will culminate in a period of unspeakable punishment for humankind.
A great war will erupt that will bring the end, that will cause millions to perish. Worse, much worse than the Second World War that killed millions. This will kill millions more.
In a very short time, half the population of the earth is killed.
The Antichrist has been a figure that has represented fear of a changing world.
Surely the world will hail him and honor him and respect him, and at the end worship him.
And they also worshipped the beast and asked, "Who is like the beast? Who can make war against him?"
According to believers, the Antichrist, though a peacemaker by design, is a persecutor by nature. A beguiling Antichrist promises peace, but instead persecutes those left behind and ignites World War III.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
The Antichrist could be at work today, using diplomatic skills and powers of persuasion in an apparent effort to bring nations together in peace. But his goal is the exact opposite. He will lead humanity directly into Armageddon.
After days of speculation, the US enters the Israel-Iran conflict in dramatic fashion. A show of force from Washington, with President Donald Trump confirming direct strikes on Iran's nuclear sites.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength.
The rebirth of the state of Israel is the super sign. It's the sign amongst all others that suggests, man, we are really close.
For all of its history since the 1830s, dispensationalists were predicting the refounding of the state of Israel.
Eventually, our borders will extend from Lebanon, the Great Desert, to Saudi Arabia, and then from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates. And then we're going to take, I believe we're going to take Mecca, Medina, and Mount Sinai and purify those places.
Dispensationalists would say that in the chaos of the Middle East, Antichrist will come and make that peace.
This is a fall from grace for a man who was reportedly told by one of the most powerful Jewish religious figures in the world that he would be the one to welcome the Messiah. The Rebbe reportedly believed Netanyahu had a mission from God to prepare Israel for the coming of the Messiah, or in Hebrew, Moshiach.
The infamous October 7 massacre that sparked a war, but one confounding yet eye-opening motive has escaped the headlines. In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these. Red heifers, to be precise. Some Jews and Christians believe they're the key to rebuilding the historic Jewish temple in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah. To understand, you have to go back nearly 2,000 years when the ancient Romans destroyed the last temple in the city. To rebuild it, these believers point to the Bible's book of Numbers. It commands the Israelites to sacrifice a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Only then can the temple rise again.
Gog and Magog is only supposed to take 12 minutes. And for 250 years, no one understood what type of war would be over in 12 minutes. Now, unfortunately, we know exactly what type of war could be over in 12 minutes. That would be a nuclear war. But there are descriptions in Zechariah. It talks about people's flesh melting on their bones.
Wow.
Which is really a description of nuclear holocaust.
I guess Gog will be the leader of all this group, the nations that come against Israel. And I'm bringing you to the land of Israel. Over there will be your destruction. I'm gonna send fire to Magog. 7 years the fire will not stop. 7 years. Everywhere will be burning for 7 years. It said 2/3 of the world will die. If you have 7 billion today, you are talking 4.5 billion people will die. 4.5 billion. How does it happen? Only with atomic war. There's no other way to kill so many people. But the Vilna Gaon already said 250 years ago that the last war really will be 9 minutes. Of course, it's going to be 7 years, everything will be burning.
Just one match can ignite a world war, and it can start from Europe. They are Christians against the Muslims. Millions of Muslims want to conquer France and Germany, but God is bringing them back. It's all happening. The nations will kill each other, and we will remain. You come say, it is possible for every bomb to be targeted to hit a non-Jew and not a Jew.
What are the two nations that will last until Mashiach comes? Rome and Persia. Now, if you would like to think that today's Iran is Persia, then maybe you say, okay, I got the whole story. Rome is today America. Rome is, the heirs of the ancient European world, the Roman dynasty. That's the United States of America. And Iran, that's Persia. So, at the end of days, it's going to be World War III between Iran and the United States of America.
Why do you think the West is not particularly outraged by the bombing of Iran, but is instead praising Israel for what they call the dirty work?
That's what the most cynical people say. The rest believe that Israel has the right to self-defense. As French President Macron said, self-defense from what? If countries interpret the right to self-defense embodied in the UN Charter as they see fit, deciding for themselves when to exercise that right with no regard for the Charter, there will no longer be world order, only complete chaos. As the Russian president said today, World War III could be just around the corner.